Genesis chapter 2 verses 8 through 14, part A. The Garden of Eden, BC 4004. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed 9. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil 10. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into 4 heads 11. The name of the first is Pison. That is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone 13. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia 14. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. Man consisting of body and soul, a body made out of the earth, and a rational immortal soul. The breath of heaven we have in these verses. The provision that was made for the happiness of both. He that made him took care to make him happy, if he could but have kept himself so and known when he was well off. That part of man by which he is allied to the world of sense was made happy, for he was put in the paradise of God. That part by which he is allied to the world of spirits was well provided for he was taken into covenant with God Lord. What is man that he should be thus dignified? Man, that is a worm. Here we have a description of the Garden of Eden, which was intended for the mansion and domain of this great Lord, the palace of this prince. The inspired penman in this history, writing for the Jews first, and calculating his narratives for the infant state of the church, describes things by their outward sensible appearances, and leaves us, by further discoveries of the divine light, to be led into the understanding of the mysteries couched under them. Spiritual things were strong meat, which they could not yet bear. But he writes to them as unto carnal. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 1. Therefore he does not so much insist upon the happiness of Adam's mind as upon that of his outward state. The Mosaic history, as well as the Mosaic law, has rather the patterns of heavenly things than the heavenly things themselves. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 23. Observe. The place appointed for Adam's residence was a garden, not an ivory house nor a palace overlaid with gold, but a garden, furnished and adorned by nature, not by art. What little reason have men to be proud of stately and magnificent buildings, when it was the happiness of man in innocency that he needed none? As clothes came in with sin, so did houses. The heaven was the roof of Adam's house, and never was any roof so curiously sealed and painted. The earth was his floor, and never was any floor so richly inlaid. The shadow of the trees was his retirement. Under them were his dining rooms, his lodging rooms, and never were any rooms so finely hung as these. Solomon's in all their glory were not arrayed like them. The better we can accommodate ourselves to plain things, and the less we indulge ourselves with those artificial delights which have been invented to gratify men's pride and luxury, the nearer we approach to a state of innocency. Nature is content with a little, and that which is most natural, grace with less, but lust with nothing. The contrivance and furniture of this garden were the immediate work of God's wisdom and power. The Lord God planted this garden, that is, He had planted it, upon the third day when the fruits of the earth were made. We may well suppose to have been the most accomplished place for pleasure and delight that ever the sun saw, when the all-sufficient God Himself designed it to be the present happiness of His beloved creature man, in innocency, and a type and a figure of the happiness of the chosen remnant in glory. No delights can be agreeable nor satisfying to a soul, but those that God Himself has provided and appointed for it. No true paradise, but of God's planting, the light of our fires, the sparks of our own kindling, will soon leave us in the dark. Isaiah chapter 50 verse 11. The whole earth was now a paradise compared with what it is since the fall and since the flood. The finest gardens in the world are a wilderness compared with what the whole face of the ground was before it was cursed for man's sake. Yet that was not enough. God planted a garden for Adam, God's chosen ones shall have distinguishing favors shown them. The situation of this garden was extremely sweet. It was in Eden, which signifies delight and pleasure. The places here particularly pointed out by such marks and bounds as were sufficient, I suppose, when Moses wrote to specify the place to those who knew that country. But now, it seems, the curious cannot satisfy themselves concerning it. Let it be our care to make sure a place in the heavenly paradise, and then we need not perplex ourselves with a search after the place of the earthly paradise. It is certain that, wherever it was, it had all desirable conveniences, and which never any house nor garden on earth was, without any inconvenience. Beautiful for situation, the joy and the glory of the whole earth was this garden. Doubtless, it was earth in its highest perfection. The trees with which this garden was planted, it had all the best and choicest trees in common with the rest of the ground. It was beautiful and adorned with every tree that for its height or breadth, its make or color, its leaf or flower was pleasant to the sight and charmed the eye. It was replenished and enriched with every tree that yielded fruit grateful to the taste and useful to the body. And so good for food, God, as a tender father, consulted not only Adam's profit, but his pleasure. For there is a pleasure consistent with innocency, nay, there is a true and transcendent pleasure in innocency. God delights in the prosperity of His servants, and would have them easy. It is owing to themselves if they be uneasy. When Providence puts us into an Eden of plenty and pleasure, we ought to serve Him with joyfulness and gladness of heart, in the abundance of the good things He gives us. But it had two extraordinary trees peculiar to itself. On earth, there were not their like. There was the tree of life in the midst of the garden, which which was not so much a memorandum to him of the fountain and author of his life, nor perhaps any natural means to preserve or prolong life, but it was chiefly intended to be a sign and seal to Adam, assuring him of the continuance of life and happiness, even to immortality and everlasting bliss, through the grace and favor of his Maker, upon condition of his perseverance in the state of innocency and obedience. Of this he might eat and live. Genesis chapter 2 verses 8 through 14, part C. Christ is now to us the tree of life and the bread of life. John chapter 6 verse 48. John chapter 6 verse 53. There was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so called, not because it had any virtue in it to beget or increase useful knowledge, surely then it would not have been forbidden, but first, because there was an express positive revelation of the will of God concerning this tree, so that by it he might know moral good and evil. What is good? It is good not to eat of this tree. What is evil? It is evil to eat of this tree. The distinction between all other moral good and evil was written in the heart of man by nature, but this, which resulted from a positive law, was written upon this tree. Secondly, because in the event it proved to give Adam an experimental knowledge of good by the loss of it and of evil by the sense of it. As the covenant of grace has in it, not only believe and be saved, but also believe not and be damned. So the covenant of innocency had in it, not only do this and live, which was sealed and confirmed by the tree of life, but fail and die, which Adam was assured of by this other tree, touch it at your peril. So that in these two trees God set before him good and evil, the blessing and the curse. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 19. These two trees were as two sacraments. The rivers with which this garden was watered, verses 10 through 14. These four rivers, a one river branched into four streams, contributed much both to the pleasantness and the fruitfulness of this garden. The land of Sodom is said to be well watered everywhere, as the garden of the Lord, chapter 13, verse 10. Observe, that which God plants he will take care to keep watered. The trees of righteousness are set by the rivers. Psalms chapter 1, verse 3. In the heavenly paradise there is a river infinitely surpassing these, for it is a river of the water of life, not coming out of Eden, as this, but proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. A river that makes glad the city of our God. Psalms chapter 46 verse. Hiddekel and Euphrates are rivers of Babylon, which we read of elsewhere. By these the captive Jews sat down and wept when they remembered Sion. But methinks they had much more reason to weep, and so have we, at the remembrance of Eden. Adam's paradise was their prison. Such wretched work as sin made of the land of Havilah, it is said. The gold of that land is good, and there is bdellium and the onyx stone. Surely this is mentioned, that the wealth of which the land of Havilah boasted might be as foil to that, which was the glory of the land of Eden. Havilah had gold and spices and precious stones, but Eden had that which was infinitely better, the tree of life and communion with God. So we may say of the Africans and Indians, they have the gold, but we have the gospel. The gold of their land is good, but the riches of ours are infinitely better.